I honestly really was not trying to talk about this particular subject because I felt like it sits a little too close to my heart. Um, and then I realized that it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and some topics, no matter how harsh they are and no matter how private they are, some things do actually need to be talked about because I'm also a survivor of domestic violence. Um, and my children are also survivors too. So when I first started to hear the story about Brianna, aka Mrs. Latruth, and her husband and everything that they were going through, at first I was just like, why is this just all over social media? Like, is it really necessary for them to be going back and forth with each other through social media? Why don't they just leave it for the courts? Why don't they just leave it private? That way everyone's opinions can be out of it, because this is a private matter. But I had to take myself out of that and realize that whatever she's feeling, she's entitled to feel. That whatever she has in her mind as far as the right way to do things right now, she's entitled to feel that. And it's just so unfortunate that when you put something so serious out there, you have to receive whatever comes with it. So she's getting the backlash. She's getting the support. She's getting the people that are in between that wants them to stay together. And, she has to really watch how the world really is. You have men and women that are also still huge supporters of her husband. That has to be very hard to watch and stomach. And then she has her supporters, people that are on her side. And then she has they both have the people in the middle that's just like, come together and just work things out. But I don't want to just sit here and just say I feel like they both are wrong or they both is right or one person was more right than the other. I'm just simply here to say that domestic violence is very real. I've really honestly wanted to just never speak about my situation again and just kind of move on. But the reality of it is, it's very hard to move on from something so serious. You honestly never move on from it. It hovers over you, especially if there's children involved. You'll always have some type of concern and worry, and it's just a lot. I spent 5, almost 6 years in a domestic violence relationship. It started out with a lot of mental abuse, mental control, and this is such an emotional topic. I can't believe I'm literally talking about this on this channel. But I remember what people don't get is when you're going through mental abuse, there's that moment that you can remember the day that you gave that person full control over you. And that's the day that really haunts you the most, because it's just okay, December 3rd, 1994, when he said these 3 things to me, this is when I gave up. So I have the date in my head. I'm not going to say it. I remember when I gave up and gave full control and just let this man have all of me. And it was just, I lived in a nightmare from that day forward. And all the days leading up to that were just signs and opportunities to leave, and before it got bad. And something in me just, I remember Mrs. Latruth said, you hold on to those happy moments, those little moments that just says, okay, this person has a good heart, this person could be loving, this person could love me and my children. You know, yesterday he was an amazing guy. Like, if only I could figure out how to get him like that every single day. You start to make it your priority. Like, okay, I'm going to be here for this man and I want this version of him, but I'm getting more of this version of him that is more violent, that is more controlling, that is more dominant over me, that doesn't really care about my feelings and my safety in his care. I want that man that's just so loving, because that man is awesome and he's in there because he showed it to me. I felt Brianna when she said that. I can feel her anger. I can feel her frustration. And I hear her. Like, you get to a place where you really don't want to say anything bad about that person, no matter what it is that they did to you. It's just like, okay, we cover these men up so much that when we do speak out, we start to think we're crazy, and people are saying that we're crazy as well. And then her being on this high platform is just like, why you didn't say nothing before? Why? All these questions. It's just like, stop asking questions and give more advice. How can we prevent women from spending so many years in these relationships that are so beyond toxicity? I waited to the very last minute to leave my relationship. I allowed this man to... I almost lost my life in front of my kids like several times. And then it just seemed like when he got bored with me, he started messing with them, and he started being really abusive to them. And I was already so weak and broken at that point where it was just like I didn't have no fight in me. So I would try to step in for my kids, and that would just make the situation worse. And I just felt so trapped. And these situations, they do grow. They start off with minor things, and then they grow and they grow and they grow. And it wasn't until the day that I almost lost my daughter because of him. He took physical abuse to a whole new level. We're not going to go into too much. But he took physical abuse to a whole new level with the children, especially her, and almost killed her. And I remember saying to myself, how did I let it get this far? My daughter to this day still has those bruises on her hand. And every time I look at it, I want to scream, because it's just like, how did I let it get that far? The issue is being afraid to speak up and holding on to what it could be. And another mistake that I feel like women make coming out of those situations is we really think that we can just move on. And in reality is we can't just move on. In order to protect yourself, there's so many different steps that you have to take to protect yourself. And I don't want to judge Brianna, because this is her life. This is her process. I'm more concerned with, how does she move forward? What is she doing to move forward? Because it seems like the internet is just a lot of back and forth. Here's my evidence. Here's my proof. This is what happened to me. Y'all need to hear me. Y'all need to be on my side. But I want to know more of the behind the scenes of what is she doing to prevent this from happening again? What measures is she taking? It took me almost a year, probably 2 years. I'm going to say a year. I'm horrible with dates. To file for a protection order for my children against him. Over the years of us dating, I did call the police. I did the little stuff, the little cries and stuff. But I never, he always knew how to get me back. So he will always get a slap on the wrist by me because I always accepted him back into my life. And I was very afraid to speak up about what he was doing to my kids because I had this fear that I would lose custody of my kids. I'll never see my kids again. Then I would never really be able to protect them because I don't know who else would cause them harm. So speaking up about the abuse that he also did to them was very challenging for me, and still is. We're still dealing with stuff like that in court. I'm still fighting in court for their safety. It's no longer just about me, it's about their safety. So as a mother, I want to see more advice. What advice could we give each other? What advice could we give Brianna? What advice could we give other women, men who are going through this? I want to see more advice, more encouragement, more thankfulness for those who do speak up, because when someone speaks up, another person is looking at that person and they're thinking, well, I can speak up too. There has to be so many women around the world right now watching these videos of them going back and forth, and they're like, oh my God, I'm going through something similar. I'm going through this. I can speak out too. But what advice are we going to give these women for when they speak out? Women, you do need protection. And sometimes a piece of paper is not enough. It's not. It hasn't been enough for me. I worry about my children every single day if this man will pop up. I have nightmares. My kids have nightmares. There's nothing that anybody can do to validate that they can protect my children from what has happened to us. What advice do we have for women and men going through this? I pray that Brianna and Latruth find what they need in life, find the love and guidance that they need in their life, because we all need that and we all deserve that. We all need help in some way. So I'm not going to bash either of them. I'm just here to say that we need to figure out how to give advice, not just for them, but others, because she is a survivor of domestic violence. I am a survivor of domestic violence. My children are survivors of violence. And if you're watching this, it's a strong possibility that you're a survivor as well. Let's learn and figure out how to pick each other up so that we can heal and grow and learn and love and raise our children in safer environments with real happiness. Not for fake, not for show. That's easy to do. Loving for real, that takes work. All right, guys, that's it for Late Nights with Arie. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know this was just like an off-the-wall topic. I'm so sorry. I just wanted to just get on here and talk about that real quick, put out my prayers, give thanks for my situation and love and encouragement, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.